And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. So now let's go ahead and get into part 2. And of course, we see that after Twilight goes back to where she just was with Starlight, we of course see an epic fight of magic go on. Twilight goes on the offensive, and Starlight Glimmer casually dodges, and they exchange their magics blow for blow. And seeing this, even Rainbow Dash does not race the boys. She, of course, sits down and eats popcorn and enjoys this, while Twilight's saying, "What are you doing? You're supposed to be racing." And Rainbow Dash, being Rainbow Dash, she, of course, says this is more entertaining. So, after that, we see that they're into another universe, which is now run by Nightmare Moon. And we, of course, see these Timberwolves. I know that's not what they're actually called, but I'm calling them Timberwolves. Poorly animated Timberwolves, if you catch my drift. And we see that when they go into the castle, which is the old castle which Celestia and Nightmare Moon, or I'm sorry, Luna used to live in, we see that it's all Nightmare Moon. Even the citizens of Ponyville work for her, like Rarity and Rainbow Dash. All of them work for her, and they worship her. And we see that Celestia is nowhere in this universe. Even when Twilight says Celestia would stop you if she could. She wouldn't let this happen. And Nightmare Moon just laughs, saying, "I banished her to the moon." So we see that in this universe, it was Celestia who was banished to the moon. Meaning that she never used the elements of harmony to stop her. She was outclassed in this area. So, Twilight tells her of the future she came from and how such a spell exists. And we see that, of course, Nightmare Moon is intrigued by this, and she wants to know how to do this, you know, so she can conquer the world to prevent the elements of harmony from ever existing. Yeah, lame plot, but anyway, so then she makes Twilight take her to this, and Twilight says it's in the dark place of the forest, and it's run by Timberwolves. And of course, Nightmare Moon just laughs, saying, "I am not afraid of anything." So she takes Spike as leverage, thinking and making sure that Twilight doesn't trick her. So then after that, we see that while they're going into the forest, while Nightmare Moon is just cleaning house, we see that they're at the point, and then after that, Twilight is able to escape their clutches, take Spike, and then go back into the portal back to where Starlight Glimmer is, and Nightmare Moon is sad by this. Then after that, we see that she freezes Starlight Glimmer in a spell she put her in, and then after that, we see that she again does the same thing to Rainbow Dash. She comes up with many different ways to prevent Rainbow Dash from using the Sonic Rainbow. And then after that, you know, Twilight and Spike go to different universes. There's one by Discord, which is arguably one of the coolest, where we see everything is chaos. Everything is just weird looking. Like, Luna and Celestia have afros and clown noses, and they get out of there, but not before Twilight grins because she hates this idea. And then we, of course, go back to Starlight Glimmer, and then she does the same thing again. This time, they're in a dimension where FIM and Farm took over? Doesn't make any sense, does it? Then they leave that one. Then the same thing, then they go into a universe where Tirak literally destroys everything. And then they leave that. So, if you're noticing a pattern here, is because when we do get to see these alternate universes, the last three, we're only in them for a couple of seconds, and then boom, you know, we're back to the main one. And what really saddened me is that there's no universe where Trixie took over, or she became better than Twilight. Yeah, I know, it's a little sad, isn't it? I would have liked to see that. But in any case, so then after that, we see that they're battling and battling and battling. And then Twilight says that we could literally keep doing this for eternity, and we would both still keep going, you know, because she actually does have a point. You know, they could literally keep going and going and going, and even one of them would be tired, But, you know, what would be the point of all this? So then after that, Starlight Glimmer grabs the scroll and begins to tear it, but she doesn't really tear it, and after what she did to Twilight, Twilight can't use her magic. So, of course, she uses her last weapon, or technique, where she talks to Starlight Glimmer, asking her if she does this, she'll destroy herself too. And she says she hates her because of what she did. And eventually they do go into an alternate universe where it's Fallout style, where there's nothing. Everything is deserted, you know, it's crazy. You know, how everything is just dusty. And she thinks that this is an illusion. She doesn't even realize what she's doing is affecting universes, or creating universes or alternate timelines where the main six never stop either of the previous four villains. And that's kind of stupid, that she doesn't even know what she's doing. She knows what she wants to do, but she doesn't know the consequences of what her actions are bringing her. And I feel like with that just is a big slap in the face, because really, when you're messing with time travel, you're supposed to know what you're doing. You can't just expect that everything you do to the other person will not affect you or the future. So, of course, after that, she talks to Twilight, and Twilight wants to know, why is Starlight Glimmer this way? What made her, you know, go down this path? And she, of course, shows her why. Because she used to be close with a friend of hers, and they would always play together. But then, when they were using their magic, her friend was able to unlock his cutie mark and his magic. And the town loved him, and the town rejoiced. And they took him and sent him off to Candlelot, you know, and from that moment on, she knew that cutie marks take people away, and that is her backstory. It kind of came out of nowhere, and yes, I know, this may seem like a lame backstory. This, even me and my editor, Clem, while we were going over this, we came up with the conclusion, what if this was introduced in the first or second episode? If we saw this backstory, and then we would wonder, why is she telling us this? And then when we got to this point, we'd be like, oh, okay, I get it now. Because then it would have been at least better, because then we wouldn't have gotten this out of nowhere. Because seriously, this just feels like the writers just made this up as they go along with this backstory. Because about all the backstories I've seen, or any Brony or Pecca sister has seen, you can't tell me that you felt like this was kind of just thrown in there at the last second. Because it would have been more tragic and sympathetic if it was thrown in the first or second episode. Because then we would have been able to sympathize. We would have been able to have this connection to Starlight Glimmer, and it would have made her redeeming quality all that more better. Such like a Discord or a Trixie, because with or Sunset Shimmer, because with those characters, their redemption built up. You know, they weren't just done in one episode, but we'll get to that later. So, of course, we see that Starlight Glimmer talks to Twilight and saying, you don't know what I've gone through. You don't know what it's like. And Twilight, forgetting exactly what she knows it's like, says, you're right, I don't know. When continuity error, she does know, because Twilight has been through some of the most hardest and impossible odds any pony in Equestria has ever been through. You know, she has had to face numerous challenges of losing her friends, losing her confidence in herself, losing old friends, so she does know what she's going through, as far as this goes. You know, because I feel that's the problem with Starlight Glimmer. She doesn't know Twilight as a personal pony. I was going to say person, but anyway, you know, she just knows her as this pony that wrecked her life, turned it upside down, and that without Rainbow Dash's Sonic Rainboom, she wouldn't be where she is today, which is not the case. There's a reason why Twilight is the main character, and there's a reason why, you know, she has gone through all of this stuff that most ponies wish they could overcome, other than the main six. So, of course, after that, Twilight gives this speech saying, it's pretty similar to the speech she gave to Sunset Shimmer in the first Equestria's movie, if you think about it. But anyway, she teaches her, you know, and asks her to trust her, that she can help her. And of course she does do that, and then after that she's redeemed, and they go back to the present timeline where nothing has been changed, and we see that the main five, are shocked to see her, and they have this huge debate, which is kind of reminiscent of Justice League, the more I think about it, where they have this debate, can they trust her? And they talk about everything she's did and how she was willing to break them up by going to multiple universes, or I'm sorry, causing multiple universes that prevented them from being who they are. But in the end, you all know where this is going. They trust her and they give her the second chance, and we see this montage of them helping her and her being a good person. And then it ends with a decent song and a decent montage, and it ends with everyone's new favorite wallpaper where we see all of the characters looking up at us. And this was a really good shot. This was probably my favorite part of the episode, the more I think about it. And that was the end. Now, let's go ahead and quickly talk about the main things. Now, there were things to like in this episode. The fighting between Starlight and Twilight was good. Well, it's not as good as the Season 4 finale, because whenever I first saw the Season 4 finale doing something that no one said that MLP could ever do, this pretty much proved to them that this is not a little girl show. It proved to them that this show could be for everybody, because if you have Twilight going up against Tyrek in a Dragon Ball Z and Last Airbender fight, then I don't know what proves that. But the fighting was pretty much okay, but you could tell it was mainly about the timelines, the possibilities of what would happen if the main six didn't stop these foes, or, if they even got to their full potential, their maximum. So, yeah, and I will admit, like everyone else, I did not want to see Starlight Glimmer redeemed in this, because I really wanted to see her as a villain for Season 6, and then have her redeemed, but if you were going to redeem her, then build it up, give us time to know this character. Give her origin story at the beginning of the 5th season and make her sympathetic like you have the others. And give us a reason to at least accept this redeeming quality. Don't just shove it down our throats and just think we'll accept it, because that's the one part I did not like. Now, I do like Starlight Glimmer, but as a Season 5 villain, she was okay. I mean, you could tell there were other villains that were better and did what she did, but they didn't do it on a time travel scale. So, yeah. And the fact that, they pretty much showed that, this second half of the 5th season, it was a little underwhelming if you think about it, because the first half had so much build-up, so much potential. All 13 episodes of the first half were amazing, and it honestly got us excited to this point. But unfortunately, they just could not deliver on this, which is not their fault. But as season's finales go, this is probably my number 3rd or number 4th favorite. It is a good season finale. It's not the worst season finale. No, the worst season finale is Season 3, which we can all agree, But, yeah, guys, if you enjoyed this, then please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.